Right, guys, Gemini back with another video, and this is my last video of the day. 3 videos in one fucking day is just way too much to be. I'm trying to get an angle where you guys don't have the sun on you. Um, yeah, 3 videos in one day. Way too fucking many YouTube videos in one day. But this is an unplanned third video. Basically, what the deal is Mr. Fuji died today at age 82, and I just thought I would just record something on him. You know, monetization is off on this because I don't believe in profiting off of dead pro wrestlers. It's just, you know, it's just me just putting the word out there and remembering the good stuff about Mr. Fuji. So, anyways, let's get to it. Yeah, Mr. Fuji. What I'll remember about him was him managing Demolition in the 80s to tag team glory. Like, Demolition was one of the best tag teams of all time for me. They were an awesome tag team. Axe and Smash, you know, they won their first tag titles at WrestleMania 4 under the guidance of Mr. Fuji. And then, of course, you know, at Survivor Series 88, Mr. Fuji turned on Demolition and went with Powers of Pain, Warlord and the Barbarian for a while, and he managed them. And, you know, the Powers of Pain never won the tag team titles under Mr. Fuji or anything, but they did wrestle a pretty good match at WrestleMania 5 versus Demolition. It was 2 out of 3 falls, and Demolition won and retained the tag team titles. Yeah, I mean, I have some tapes, you know, in my boxes over there of Mr. Fuji from back in the day. You know, he was one of the dirtiest, nastiest cheaters in wrestling. He really was, and he was just like a notorious cheater, or as Gorilla Monsoon would always call him. He'd call him the devious one. I mean, Mr. Fuji was just he was always a heel. I don't think I ever saw Mr. Fuji as a baby face. He was always a heel. He was always helping his wrestler in the ring somehow, some way, win a match, and most of the time it was by throwing his cane in there, you know, and then his wrestler that he'd be managing would smash somebody with a cane, and then, or he would, when the ref wasn't looking, he would throw the salt in a wrestler's eyes, you know. He would always do that. Like, if you go back today and you're interested in Mr. Fuji, you know, check out WrestleMania 9 when he wrestled, or Yokozuna wrestled Bret the Hitman Hart, because towards the end of that match, Bret puts Yokozuna, the sharpshooter, like kind of close to the ropes, and then you can see Mr. Fuji, you know, on the side of the screen, and he takes like a big bag of salt and he throws it in Bret's eyes, and then Yoko wins the title. And that was always Mr. Fuji's thing, and I can remember in high school, I always thought that Mr. Fuji was really, really cool for throwing the salt in people's eyes. And I had a couple guys in high school who were messing with me, and so I had seen Mr. Fuji throw the salt in people's eyes, so I started carrying a bag of salt in my pocket with me, you know, and I knew that I was going to throw it in their eyes if they screwed with me that day at school. So that's a memory of Mr. Fuji, me carrying the bag of salt. And I can remember I was over at this girl's house one day, and we were screwing around in her bed, and I had the bag of salt in my pocket, and I spilled the salt all over her bed, and from that day forward she called me Mr. Salty. And you know, it's one of those things, man. I mean, Mr. Fuji, you know, with the salt in the eyes, was one of those guys who influenced me, you know, because I've been watching wrestling like forever, since like 1987 or something. So if Mr., you know, watching Mr. Fuji on TV with the salt, you know, influenced me so much to carry my own bag of salt around me to fend off the bad guys in high school. I mean, that should tell you like a little something about like Mr. Fuji being a captivating character in the world of pro wrestling, and capturing your imagination and you wanting to be like Mr. Fuji and throw the salt in somebody's eyes. Yeah, and that's my personal memory from him. There was like, back in the 80s, there was like a group of managers that were on TV all the time, heel managers. You had Bobby Heenan, Slick, Mr. Fuji, Freddie Blassie, and there's some other ones in there too. Like Harvey Whippleman was later, but Yeah, I remember the Bag of Salt. I remember him being one of the big heel managers back in the day. I remember watching him go in the WWE Hall of Fame in his wheelchair. He didn't look like he was in the best health then either. He looked okay, but at least he died the right way. I mean, 82 was a pretty long life for a pro wrestler. I mean, he lived a lot longer than Mr. Fuji. Or Mr. Fuji, yeah, he lived a lot longer than a lot of guys live. 82 is pretty good. I guess he had some kind of illness or something from what I was reading on Facebook and whatnot. But yeah, I'll always remember Mr. Fuji, and I always remember Gorilla calling him the devious one and throwing the salt in people's eyes and stuff. So yeah, he'll be missed. But 82. I mean, you can't. I mean, unless you're his immediate family, you can't be too sad about that one. If you live to be 82, that's a pretty proud life. So I always remember the clip of when who was the wrestler that roughed up John Stossel? It was Dave Schultz. And if you watch that clip, the 2020 clip where Dave Schultz slapped the shit out of John Stossel, you could see Mr. Fuji peeking his head around the corner, and he was watching the whole thing and enjoying it. He was, because Mr. Fuji, you can tell right there, he respected wrestling. He respected the kayfabe aspect of wrestling, and he wasn't going to stop Dave Schultz from slapping John Stossel around. He just stood there. He could have came in there and broke it up or something. He didn't do anything because he felt that wrestling was being disrespected by John Stossel, and he just let it go. But yeah, if you go watch the clip, you can see Mr. Fuji right in the back. So I have a lot of good memories of Mr. Fuji. Like I said, the Bag of Salt, managing Demolition, and whatnot. So, anyways, yeah, kind of a sad day for all your old school wrestling fans, because we definitely remember him, and Mr. Fuji will be missed. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day.